Dear folks, today I'd like to talk to you about a topic that is very close to my heart, religion and philosophy. Often these two areas are seen as opposites, but they can also complement each other wonderfully. It is well known that religion, both in its beginnings and today, has been strongly influenced by philosophical ideas. Religious people, such as pastors or other clergy, often engage intensively with philosophy, and vice versa. Many philosophers, especially in the Middle Ages, grappled with religious questions. Just think of the scholastics. Actually, philosophy and religion are inseparably linked. Nevertheless, they are often played off against each other or perceived as competitors. Unfortunately, it happens that religion is dismissed by some people, especially in intellectual circles, as too simplistic. They regard religion as an inferior form of belief. On the other hand, there are religious people who disdain modern philosophers and their ideas. Atheists in particular are often labeled as hedonists. This is also because many values which are preached in the Bible and other holy scriptures are no longer as accepted in this day and age, especially in Western societies, are no longer so accepted. You could perhaps compare religion to fast food. It is served to you ready-made, you know exactly what you are getting, and you don't have to think much about it. That's not meant to sound derogatory, but it's just that religion is predefined. And for centuries, the same topics have been philosophized about, or perhaps it would be better to say, repeated and regurgitated. This applies to Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and other religions as well. Philosophy, on the other hand, is like a home-cooked meal. Here, people grapple with the big questions in life on their own initiative and look for answers that suit them. You could say that people who are not religious prepare their own philosophical meal that meets their individual needs. This creates a much greater diversity of ideas and beliefs about what is right and wrong within the non-religious group than in the religious group, where there is more likely to be unity and acceptance of common rules. But you also have to see that people who engage in philosophy are privileged in a way. Not all of them, of course, but they tend to have more time, energy and leisure to devote to these topics. They simply have the resources to stimulate themselves mentally. Many people, both in the Western world and in other parts of the world, struggle to survive every day and have to see how to feed their families. They often lack the time and energy to engage with philosophical questions outside of their own life realities. So it is also somewhat arrogant to expect that everyone has the opportunity and the desire to engage deeply with philosophy. Those who do should be aware that they are in a privileged bubble and may not have the empathy to understand the situation of people who have very different problems. That's exactly the challenge of putting yourself in other people's shoes, instead of judging religious people prematurely. Sure, sometimes it may seem strange to you how some people try to live by certain religious rules, even though these rules are difficult to implement in this day and age. Ultimately, religion limits people in their freedom, but that's not really what I'm getting at. The point is, not everyone has the privilege of engaging deeply with these issues. Life is exhausting enough as it is, and you can't do everything yourself. Especially in the USA, you see how many people don't cook at all anymore but only eat fast food. Life has simply become too stressful to find time for cooking. On top of that, in the USA, there are so-called food deserts, areas where there are no more supermarkets with a reasonable selection. People there eat cheap fast food because they can't afford healthy food. Healthy foods are becoming more and more expensive because the market for them is shrinking, and they are slowly becoming a luxury good. I think it's similar with religion. People who are disadvantaged are more likely to be religious because they lack the leeway to explore other ways of life. What I'm trying to say is many religious people did not choose their faith. It is very difficult to break out of these patterns, and it can lead to alienation if you do not share the same beliefs as your family and friends. Of course, that doesn't mean that all non-religious people have a uniform worldview. Just as there are all sorts of religious people, there are also atheists without morals who are only prevented from doing reprehensible things by laws. So you can find such hedonists in both groups. It is wrong to believe that all atheists have a functioning morality and worldview. Some people may wonder if in the end, despite all effort, you end up with the same worldview as a religious person. Then what's the point? To that I can only say, the journey is the destination. It is incredibly valuable to form your own picture of morals and values and to understand what these values mean to you personally. The journey is worth it for that alone. In this sense, if you have the time, the energy and the courage, then learn to cook.